engagement. We'll probably go around the room. My name's Chris. I'm the Campus and Community Engagement Librarian at Northwestern University Library. And I'm also the subject specialist for journalism. And I used to do, up until recently, I used to do international information as well, which made me the subject specialist for things like IGOs, NGOs, and whatnot. Worked with a lot of poli-sci students and economic students. So if we want to go around the room, Anne, why don't we start with you, and I'll work my way down that way.
Okie doke. I'm Ann Driscoll. I'm the education librarian at George Mason, so I do the whole College of Education and Human Development, with the exception of the sports stuff and there's a recreation and tourism thing. Those two areas are handled by somebody else. Did I say everything I was supposed to?
Sure. Brenna?
Yes. Can you hear me all?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, good. I am Brenna Wade. I am a public services librarian at Hillsdale College. We're a small private liberal arts college, so we all wear a lot of hats. I'm responsible. I share reference and instruction responsibilities with the other public services librarian. I supervise interlibrary loan. I'm responsible for all our technology, and I do outreach. So I do a lot of things, but outreach is kind of what I'm most passionate about. So.
Hillsdale where?
Oh, Michigan.
Oh, you're used to being cold in the winter.
Yes.
Jeff?
I'm Jeff Alder. I'm at the University of Arizona, and I'm the bioinformation specialist. So I deal with non-bibliographic databases, as well as I've gotten a lot into actually helping people learn computer code.
Margaret?
I'm Margaret Greger. I'm the Instructional Materials Center Coordinator at Appalachian State University. We serve the College of Education, undergraduate and graduate students. The Instructional Materials Center is a model pre-K-12 library. So I do a lot of teaching and a lot of outreach.
Okay. And Michelle, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm part of the committee. I'm over here at Florida State University in Tallahassee, and at the moment I'm working in the science library.
Cool. So welcome to today's discussion. Just to get us started, when approaching outreach to faculty, what do you focus on, like support for their outreach, teaching support, social activities, and what are some of the successful strategies you've had in these areas? And that's wide open. Anyone can just jump in.
What I do is, so I've really been pushing this year to connect up with the adjuncts, because I think they kind of tend to get left behind in things. So I was able to get invited to the orientation they have for them, so I can at least introduce myself, and then the other, meeting with the other faculty as well. Another thing that I do is there's so many programs in the College of Education that generally I choose 2 programs a year, and I go to their meetings and kind of talk about what, how can I help you, or what is there you need that the library could do to help you, kind of thing. What else? I try to be pretty selective about sending emails, because I feel like we all get 5,000 emails a day anyway. But it seems to be pretty effective. The best success I've had is, frankly, word of mouth. Faculty that I've been working with for the last 5.5 years that I've been at Mason, who tell incoming faculty, you need to be sure to connect up with Anne, and then, the the doctoral students who are teaching some of the lower level classes, who I've had in sessions, who then want me to come to work with their students, because primarily I work with the grad students, and so not so much at all with the undergrads at all, if that makes any sense. So that's helped
Sure.
as well, because that's kind of boosted that up.
So I'll just echo Anne's bit about word of mouth. I think that's probably been the best means of reaching out to faculty. My side too. I also have a history here at the university. About a decade ago, I was a PhD student here, so I have a number of connections with faculty that way, and that's been very useful for establishing contacts and collaborations as well. And I think that I go to faculty or departmental meetings sometimes and just let them know about my existence and the services that I can provide. But there's a somewhat low return in that sort of investment. I'm not saying it's not useful at all, but compared to word of mouth, it doesn't do quite as much.
I agree with what both Ann and Jeff say. Here at Appalachian State, we have about 2,000 undergraduate education majors, and we have a smaller graduate component. I have one adjunct faculty member who teaches the doctoral students. We have one doctoral program. I concentrate mainly on the undergraduates, and I do that by reaching out to the 5 departments in the College of Education, trying to meet with the faculty to help them understand what our resources are, and quite honestly soliciting teaching opportunities. But I work most closely with the reading department, because that seems to be where the greatest need is. And I'm also trying to penetrate curriculum and instruction with varying degrees of success, I might say.
I think we're all kind of familiar with that.
It's frustrating because I know they need us, but it's getting in the door.
That's the bane of our existence as librarians in an academic setting, isn't it?
It really is so hard.
Anybody else? I've always felt I've only been the journalism librarian for a couple years now, and for us, our journalism program's is a practice-based program, so they don't do the same kind of research that some of the other humanities and social sciences do, which is, it's not to say that they don't need library resources, but it's always a struggle to get the faculty to understand what we can offer, that there's other sorts of support that we can give them, and that learning how to do research teaches them how to do the kind of research that they do for practice. So I've had a really hard time. When I started, I had one person that was a good in, so through word of mouth, I can agree with that. And I just kind of talked to him about what the faculty are like, and to get some names from him in particular of who to talk to. And he actually told me right up front, going to faculty meetings would be useless for me, because the faculty don't even attend their faculty meetings, so there would be no point. So I've kind of focused mostly on trying to do teaching support and support for their own research. And I found that at least getting a couple good ins was helpful, because one class can lead to another class. But I think it was you that said this too, that at least those things can get me to the grad students and the undergrad students, so that I can actually work with them, even though the faculty don't seem to need my services as much as their students would. And then pushing and this works for other classes too, because even though you're not doing research in this class, you'll be doing research in other classes, so take advantage of that. Speaking of outreach, it seems like a lot of our institutions, use that subject liaison model. How do you partner and plan outreach that kind of crosses departments? for faculty?
One of the things that we've been doing is to offer workshops on Zotero, also things like downloading ebooks,
Oh yeah.
various things that faculty are interested in, things on assessment, having authors come in to speak, and that seems to help a little bit.
You said having authors come in to speak?
Yes.
Like, what kind of authors are you reaching out to?
Oh wow, we've had people who write children's literature. We've had authors who write Southern fiction. We've had poets, just a variety of genres. We have a Belk Distinguished Lecture Series, and we sometimes partner with the English department who have writers in residence come. So we try to reach out and find out what else is going on in the university and partner with those people or the units, if we can, to sponsor events, to bring faculty members into the library. And hopefully, once they get here, they'll learn who we are, and they'll begin to work with us on other projects.
Okay.
We're kind of similar in that, well, we're frankly too small to have liaisons, so we basically liaise to the entire campus.
Sure.
But we do have 2 lecture series that we host every semester, and one of that is called Our Faculty After Hours and Our Faculty's Ongoing Research, where we bring in a faculty member to talk about, with the after hours, to talk about a hobby of theirs, usually outside of what they do in the classroom. And then the ongoing research is for a faculty member to share what they're currently working on a professional level. And they've been rather successful. We get students and faculty members, but I think it does tend to help the faculty members a little bit more get to know each other and get to meet colleagues up maybe outside of their department. And so that's been really good for us.
That's a cool idea. Anybody else doing outreach that crosses faculty boundaries?
We're holding like symposia at FSU that are based around like different ideas like copyright, open access, scholarly communication, data management, and we invite the faculty to sometimes be on those panels to kind of talk to a broader audience about the kind of work that they're doing.
One of the things that we did here at Arizona is we had a pair of just open house events at in the fall semester, just to expose faculty, draw them in with raffle prizes and free food. And it wasn't just faculty, but the faculty were definitely targeted. And one of those had turnout that was lower than sort of expected and wanted, and then one of them had really pretty decent turnout. And the biggest difference between the two was that the one with the high turnout was the library was co-located with the faculty that we were targeting. So it was the health sciences library, which is basically on the med school. So low distance for faculty to travel. But the other one we held, it wasn't co-located, and I think that was a big issue. Is just getting people out of their offices is a big challenge.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that doesn't change when they go from being students to being faculty.
No.
Ooh.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes. No.
How about now?
There we go.
Yes.
Okay, it somehow went back on mute. So the president of Mason has actually, one of his big pushes now is cross-discipline research and that type of thing. And so I've been, and the library is supposed to be helping to facilitate this, and so I'm kind of I'm having a difficult time figuring out what to do. Education tends to kind of stick to themselves, and of course, so many of the professors are only on campus in the evenings because for us, since the grad students are the biggest portion of the program and they're already working full time, classes are either at 4:30 or 7:20. And so there's kind of a disconnect there, and then they tend to partner together within the College of Education to work on stuff. So I'm kind of trying to figure something out on that. But I mean, one thing that I'm doing, which I guess this would be cross-discipline, is I've been trying to get, there's one of the professors for the DE courses that she and I have been writing proposals to do presentations on, librarians being involved in designing and being embedded in distance classes. And so, we just need to find out about these things soon enough that we can get it written up and then submit it. We had been accepted to something here called JOSTA. I can't remember what it stands for. But then when they accepted it, so we were going to do this thing talking about, how we worked all this stuff out. And then they said, oh, well, we don't use Blackboard or WebCT. They use, it's one of the open source ones, Moodle.
Mm-hmm.
And then also they wanted us to use Google Apps, which, of course we don't, College of Education doesn't really use for their stuff. So we had to say, because it would have meant pretty much just redesigning everything to have something to show. So
Right.
we turned that one down. But we're meeting next week to talk about an article for Journal of Distance Education. So would that fall in this category? Do we count ourselves?
That's a good question. I don't know. I'm sure we can. We should. What about new faculty? How are you making inroads into new faculty?
We're actually included on the new faculty's orientation schedule.
Oh, that's great.
So they are slated to have to meet with us for an hour and a half. And basically, it's just a really good way to talk with the new faculty. We go through our services and things like that, but it's the best is making those connections of putting names and faces together, and then throughout the other orientation, like these other events that we see them, and so then you can keep those connections going. So that's been really helpful for us.
We send letters to every new faculty member in the College of Education, and we also try to stop by their offices and meet them face to face. We encourage senior faculty members in the departments to talk to the new faculty members, to tell them about the services that we offer. We invite them to come over to the Instructional Materials Center to see what we have. It's sometimes difficult, but we just occasionally just wander over to the College of Education and drop by their office, which seems to be about as effective as anything in terms of meeting them. My colleagues at East Carolina University have convinced the administration to hold new faculty orientation in the library, which I think is brilliant.
That's awesome.
And when they do that, then they have special programs in their Teacher Resource Center for education faculty, but the whole library creates programs and displays so that the new faculty can see what the library has to offer. To me, that's just the ultimate. I would love to be able to do that.
Yeah, we have a new faculty orientation too that's held in the library. The library itself only has maybe a half an hour window or something like that, but it is held in library space, which is great. And then we also just have sort of a ad hoc contact for the subject librarians. Will often just reach out to a new faculty member if it's in their subject area with and I don't know, I can't speak to the response rate on that.
Yeah, we do new faculty orientation, and then we contact the folks in charge of that to get a list of all the new faculty, and then we send emails through our different subject liaisons to invite them to lunch or coffee, and then we have like a folder of materials that we give them, and a lot of them take us up on it, even if it's just coffee, and the library pays for the coffee or for the lunch. So we have a fund kind of set aside just for those.
That's super convenient.
Mm-hmm.
Took a while to get that, but but we have that.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, I was it was muting myself again. So we don't formally get invited to the orientations, but they do allow people to set up tables outside the area where the new faculty meet, and they do give me a list of the names of all the new faculty. So I send them an email, and then I make sure that I attend the day that they have that orientation, and I make it a point of, because they tend to sit, grouped by their colleges. So I go in and I introduce myself when they're having a little bit of downtime, and I also use it as an opportunity for faculty from other areas to say, oh, well, here, let me give you this person's card. They're your librarian, and we'll be glad to help you. Contact us, kind of thing.
Right. Brianna, you were saying that for your new faculty orientation, you're a smaller organization. How many librarians do you have to cover your faculty?
We have 5, and that's including the library director. So there's 2 technical services librarians, 2 public services librarians, and a library director.
And for everybody, when you go to these orientations, what do you push when you talk to new faculty?
Well, we all take turns and kind of talk about the different services we offer. We have an acquisitions and systems librarian, and she, talks about how to request materials for the library. I tend to emphasize our instruction sessions and, go through the catalog. We have a really great resource sharing kind of collaboration in Michigan called MELCAT. And so we show them that you can get like lots of library materials very easily from other libraries. I also highlight our interlibrary loan services, and which professors doing lots of research often need. So we just kind of try and highlight the different things that we offer, and but we also try and get to know the new faculty members and what their specialties are, so that we can kind of highlight maybe our specialized databases or services that would best fit for them.
Anyone else?
I can't remember the question. I'm sorry, guys. I'm taking Vicodin because of my surgery, and the question has escaped my mind.
No, it's just what are the sorts of things that we kind of when we talk to new faculty, what are the services that we push?
I do a couple different things. I always talk about the library instruction, but I also make the offer of, I would be glad to come to your office and kind of walk you through how to access resources from on and off campus, how to use the LibGuides that we have, or if you feel like your area of specialization needs more resources, that's something I can help you with as well. So, just to try to be as useful to them as possible.
one of the things that I do is to meet with the new faculty members and to find out what they're teaching and to demonstrate some of the resources that are available for them to use in their classes. And I also try to find out if they have any projects or assignments that will use the library and what their expectations are for their students. So that way I can make sure that we have adequate resources. In future conversations, perhaps mold the assignment a little bit and understand what the students are going to be coming in and asking us to help them do. And I find that establishes a pretty good rapport with them. And they're always grateful to find out what the resources are that we have that can help them.
Yeah. Anne mentioned adjuncts earlier. What about adjuncts? How do you make inroads with adjunct faculty?
I look at the schedule to see where adjuncts are teaching, and I try to contact each one individually and to offer assistance. And that seems to be pretty effective, especially with my children's literature and some of my curriculum and instruction classes.
I've had a lot of luck too with students themselves. So Mason has 3 campuses, but there's also cohorts that are spread. So like there's a couple cohorts out in Prince William County. I go out to Loudoun County to do classes, into Alexandria, Arlington, and I actually so a lot of times I do go-to meetings with these students because they're not coming to classes to work on this degree. They're actually going to a school in their area, and so I had set up this meeting with this student, and she was so happy with it that she said, "No, I don't think my professor even knows that this is available." This was somebody who just started adjuncting from GW, and so she's going to talk to her about my coming in and showing them how to find resources because she found it so helpful, and she knew that the other people in that cohort were really struggling. And so, hopefully she'll reach out to that professor who will then contact me. And, I can do it virtually, or I'll drive. They're out in Annandale, which isn't all that far, so I'll even drive out to the school if they prefer face-to-face.
What about how communicating new services and resources to faculty? How do you go about doing that? Is there anything that works particularly well for you?
We just use email.
Yeah.
That's our main kind of lifeline of communication, and that's kind of what works for us.
Yeah, we do the same thing. Mostly it's email, and either the email is sent by the communications team in the library to the various faculty lists, or oftentimes what we'll do is we'll sort of check in with the communications team checks in with the subject specialist and asked if the subject specialist would rather do the announcement themselves for their areas, so that whichever departments or areas are maybe could use the subject librarian, they're getting messages from them as opposed to maybe a slightly more anonymous and more faceless main library entity.
I was going to ask, can you explain what your communications team is and what their role is?
So we have this I'm not sure what you call it, and some sort of collection of people. It doesn't have a department or any sort of designation like that, but these are folks that are charged with the internal and external communications for the library, and that's what their role is to craft messaging largely for outward-facing messages for both existing and new resources. So if something new comes online, they promote it, and they do so with a variety of mediums. Usually electronic for sure, and then if it's warranted in some cases, some print media as well. But I couldn't speak to the utility of the different media approaches, but I think they're looking at that.
And I don't really do a lot with letting people know about new resources coming in. What I have done on some of the LibGuides is I've set up click this link to see the newest resources we bought for the library, or bought for the College of Education, and they're broken out by subspecialties. The other thing is whenever faculty make a request for a specific resource, I keep a file on my desk, and then I make sure that they know as soon as that item is available for use. And we tend for the College of Education to get ebooks, so the turnaround on that is usually pretty quick, and that always makes them real happy to find out that their stuff's in already.
I have a notification system for faculty members, especially when they request something. As soon as that material comes in, they're automatically sent an email telling them that that material is ready for them. But that only works if they request it, so it's not as effective as I would like for it to be.
Yes, we do the same thing. If we make sure that when anyone who selects material, mostly faculty, are put on a selector list and they get an email when that's been processed. And we also send out, like, if we purchase a new database, we'll send out just to that, just to the departments that would be affected by it or most interested in it. So we try not to spam the campus too much. And for our regular, like, outreach activities and things that we do, especially if it pertains a little bit more to students, the Student Activities Board has a newsletter that we try and use rather than just sending out a million emails, because we know that people do get tired of them.
Actually, that was a question I had for you guys is, how do you balance sending out the things that you feel are important for them to know about versus I also get a lot of requests from people higher up the food chain, so to speak, with, oh, we really want you to send out this announcement about X, or some other things that they're library related, but I'm not really sure how relevant they are to my people, weighing that with the hundreds of emails we get every day. How do you guys handle that?
We don't get a ton of those, largely just because we don't try to send out too many emails from the library. If it's super important, we'll go through the university and have a university-wide announcement made, but those are very rare. So we usually have those conversations at different levels about who needs to send them and who doesn't, and we just have them on an individual basis. But
we're actually not, as I understand it, we can't send out emails to like all faculty or all staff or all students at all. So when we have messages that come from library administration down to the subject specialists to send out to their faculty, or other subject specialists, for example, like we do GIS support, and sometimes there might be something that's related to GIS that we want faculty that might use that to know about, and that falls into multiple disciplines. And so we just share those messages internally, and then if the subject specialist thinks that it's probably useful, or we know our faculty and we know what they use, then we'll push it out to them that way. So it's kind of mostly at the discretion of the subject specialist to determine whether or not it really needs to go out. And of course, if it comes from the dean, it goes out. You just do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about faculty-specific services like data management, those sorts of things? Scholarly communications is a big one right now. What sort of faculty-specific services are you pushing to your faculty? Demand-driven acquisitions? Any?
We have a demand-driven acquisitions profile set up here at App State for the College of Education. I'm not sure the faculty even knows that that's what it is. They just see the items in the catalog, and then we have a program with Yankee Book Peddler so that if someone uses it 3 times, we automatically purchase it. So I'm not sure that they understand the difference between something in the catalog that I've purchased and something in the catalog that's there because of DDA. But it's worked really well, and it's given me some trends and shown me things that I need to purchase for them. Other than that, we're not doing much else.
Question, do you think that it matters whether or not they know about that?
No, I don't really, because the material is accessible to them. And I mean, obviously, I've told them that that's what we're doing, but I don't think they care as long as they have access to the material. We promote our institutional repository too, but quite honestly, I'm not sure how many people submit their work to that.
We have periodic pushes too with the institutional repository, and with varying degrees of success. And I think in part it's because there's so many other places out there that you can put your stuff that it sometimes I think becomes just one more place to have to go to and keep updated. So that one's been kind of problematic because you can't really force them to do it, especially when there's people that do the academia, isn't it academia.edu, and oh God, I can't, what's the Mendeley, and there's all those different ones, and I think after a while it just becomes kind of overwhelming to people. And then there's the whole problem with the copyright stuff with the institutional repository. So librarians are required, we have to stick our stuff in the repository. But of course, if you haven't negotiated with them so that you can get the actual article, then all you can deposit is the I don't know if proof is the right word, but the final draft that was actually printed. So you don't actually have that PDF there. So, and I'll be honest, guys, I always forget to negotiate so that I retain the ability to do that.
So one of the things our data management team is doing at the University of Arizona is that they have this it's the first year they're doing it, where they put out a call to all the faculty who received grants recently and said, hey, if you want to work with a library, we've got a team of data management specialists who can help, your data management from, through the whole research life cycle, from, the collection, the storage, and then after the paper's been published or whatever, then actual deposition in some sort of repository. And they've got good response from that. And they've got, I think they're working with 6 different research groups on that right now. Again, it's sort of in a pilot position. And then another thing is that the Faculty Senate at Arizona just passed an open access policy, and it's an opt-out policy, but they're partnering with the campus repository to be the place that will hold the accepted published manuscripts for access, and that's either the final manuscript form produced by the journal, if copyright allows, or the final manuscript that has all the changes, whichever copyright applies to those. And those two, that's another thing that's just started, but it's a good partnering between the faculty and the library.
So we're doing similar things with data management and open access in our repository. We also have a delivery system, so all faculty can have books delivered to their offices or picked up from their offices. We expanded it so that it goes also to TAs, grad assistants, research assistants, and our Office of Disabilities, so that students with disabilities don't have to come on campus. And we'll deliver those books to their office or to another library on campus, and the faculty love it. They use it a ton.
Yeah, we do also do the delivery. We also have, which is something I just learned about, proxy borrowing for faculty, where so their grad students can check things out for them. And we also have been building up our data management support as well. We're in the process of building an institutional repository. I assume it's going to happen this year, but I've heard that before. So we'll see how that goes. As a student engagement librarian, I'm curious about this next question of how do you utilize your relationships with faculty to build student engagement and participation at the student level with library activities or even just library services?
I think it's really important. I think that the professors and the faculty are often the ones who will send their students to the library. And because the students are much more likely to talk to their professor about their research and about their paper, and I find that we're often an absolutely last resort. Students will talk to everybody except us. And so, but if their professors are saying, go talk to a librarian, they can help you with this, I think that's often a really big push and a really good way for students to come. The professors that do bring their classes in for instruction sessions, often those students will be a bit more comfortable coming and talking to us later, because they've actually, they can put a name and a face together. And I always, emphasize, come to my office, just send me an email, anything like that. So I think they're a very important partner when it comes to the interacting with students.
I have faculty who also require their students to come make an appointment with me when they reach these stumbling blocks, or even they're having problems just getting started. It's especially useful for the doctoral students. The grad students, I get many fewer grad students because the way that it works in Virginia is if you become a teacher, so I want to be a reading instructor, I'm going to get a degree in English, and then I will take the praxis and get my license, and then they come back for the master's degree. So that's a different thing than I've seen in other states I've been. Another thing which I actually has been a blessing and a curse is we have this, it's a kind of, I call it a build your own bachelor's degree program. and I was asked by a student, he was working on using games for education, and so he asked me to be his advisor's not the term that they use, but kind of like his, he has this big final project, and I worked with him on that for the entire semester. And I think because of that, I noticed that this semester I've gotten a lot of other students coming from the BIS program who want to meet with me. And some, in fact, to the point that some of them weren't even my area. And so I was like, well, you know, I'm glad to try to help you, but this is the librarian you really need to see to get the best test help. And I'll actually, you know, when we help them as much as I can, then I'll take them down the hall to that librarian and introduce them so that, you know, she can kind of help them, or he can help them from that point. So I guess it's that word of mouth thing once again.
All right, we got time maybe for one more question. What's the best time in the year to make contact with faculty?
I think timing is such a tricky thing because professors are always so busy, and so you know you wonder if you're sending things out in the summer, if they're working on other things, and you know stuff gets lost. But when you try and contact them at the beginning of the year, they're really rushing with their classes, as are the end of the year. So I tend to think beginning of the year. Beginning of the semester to middle of the semester is a little better. By the time it gets towards the end of the semester, they are just so busy with grading and just probably a little burned out that they don't focus as much on the stuff that we're talking about. So I'd say that getting them at the beginning to middle of the year is best.
I actually start contacting them 4 to 6 weeks before the semester starts, just to kind of, and I use that as not only an opportunity for the, you know, the library instruction, but to let them know, well, these are the changes that have happened over the summer, or this is, you know, we're making, like, this summer we're updating all the LibGuides we have so that they have a common look and feel and a lot of common terminology to make it better, you know, more easy for students to use whatever discipline they're in. So I use it as an opportunity for that. And again, if they're new, to offer to meet with them to help them. We've also been tasked with the distance education as well. And so I make 2 emails, one which focuses on the distance person because there's different things that I do for them as opposed to what I do with the face-to-face classes. And then I'm able to, I guess it's kind of sneaky, but I've got their, you know, dear, and then put in the little thing to put what their name is, and then I have a thing, you know, I see you are teaching, and it lists out the course numbers that they're teaching as well. So it at least feels a little bit more personalized, and then they, you know, and then send them out, and that's been pretty successful.
Anybody else know the magic bullet of time to reach faculty?
I can give a reason for every time of the year why it's bad, but
That's for sure.
We're on a quarter system, so I feel like everything is doubly difficult because it's either the beginning of the year or the middle of the year or the end of the term. So
Yeah. And what about the summer guys? I mean, so at Mason we have, in the summer there's an A session, a B session, a C session, and a D session. And one of those 4 runs the entire summer, and then the other 3 are those condensed classes that could be anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks long. So, how do you, what's the magic number for things like that? Because it never ends. I've got, well, in fact, I'm teleworking still this week. I'm going to be able to drive next week, so I'll be going back in. But I've done classes online. I've done 2 so far this week, and I've got stuff lined up into right now into mid-July for classes for these ones that are coming on later in the summer.
Yeah, summer's tough. We don't do as much over the summer, and I find that a lot of our regular faculty aren't around. So reaching out to faculty over the summer is always kind of a crapshoot, whether they'll ever actually even see what you've sent them.
Yeah.
I think for summer, for us, on one hand, it's 11 billion degrees, so a lot of people bug out of Tucson in the summer. But on the other hand, for research faculty, that they're not teaching in the summer, so it's an opportunity for them to get research done, and in that sense, they may be a more receptive audience during the summer than during the semesters when they're trying to balance teaching as well as getting their research done. But I mean, yeah, it's not the magic bullet. Sorry.
Yeah.
Summer is slower for us. We try to find out who's on campus and who's teaching, and often reach out to them. And sometimes, because things are slower, that allows us to do special projects. 2 summers ago, we did an Erasmus project with an elementary education methods course, and we never would have had time to do that during the fall or spring. So sometimes, you can come up with something that's really exciting to spark both you and the faculty member to try something new.
That's cool. Well, gang, that's our time. I want to thank everybody for joining us. I hope you learned a little something, got a little something out of it. I know I did. Faculty outreach is always one of my big struggles. So I'm used to working with students. It's working with faculty that I always struggle with. We'll be sending out a follow-up survey just for a little feedback so we can keep improving these ongoing roundtables. And our next one, Michelle, was this the last one we have planned?
Let's see.
Can't remember.
Yes, it is.
All right. So then we'll probably be back with these in the fall. We do them roughly quarterly, or every couple months. And if you're in Orlando for ALA, of course, join us at our meetup. And that's about it.
Cool. So I'm not a member of ULS, so am I still going to get messages about these, or do I need to become a member of it? Because I actually got this because of Beth. And she sent an email out saying that she thought some of us might be interested.
We send these out. You do not have to be a member of ULS to attend these at all. We send them out through various channels, so they go out to a number of different listservs and a few Facebook groups. We share them on a few Facebook groups.
Well, thank you.
Cool. All right, thanks everybody. We'll see you around.
Have a good one. Thank you.